The water stay almost a month in the city. Entire neighborhoods, public squares, roads remain submerged for 30 days or more. And streets became rivers, homes. It was like Iceland in the streets. Entire community was damaged, was cut from basic services, from access and everything.
This is the Digital Humanitarian, where we explore how technology is transforming crisis response.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Digital Humanitarian. Today, we have a very special episode, and we're going to talk specifically about floods in Brazil, the major floods that happened in 2024 in Rio Grande do Sul. And for that, we have Carol Vanzellotti, who's the CEO of Bonanza, as well as Olimar, Teixeira Borges, who acts as technology officer, the CTO, the VP for Bonanza. And we got a chance to meet each other actually right after the floods, when they were gathering tens and hundreds of volunteers to respond to the immediate needs on the ground. So welcome, Caroline and Olimar. Great to have you.
Thank you, Dana, for us to share with you what happened here. It's amazing for us.
Caroline, maybe we can start with you. So we're talking about massive floods, millions of people impacted, hundreds of thousands of people needed shelter, over 180 people lost their lives, infrastructure was damaged. Maybe take us to the scene and kind of walk us through how it was and where were you at the time?
Yeah. In April 2024, started to rain here in Rio Grande do Sul, in the south of Brazil. For that time, it was the biggest climate crisis in Brazil's history. But there is a special thing, but because the floods, unlike other floods or anything that happened in the regions before, the water didn't simply rise and then drain away in a matter of hours or a couple of days. No, the water stay almost a month in the city. Entire neighborhoods, public squares, roads remain submerged for 30 days or more. And streets became rivers, homes. It was like Iceland in the streets. Entire community was damaged, was cut from basic services, from access and everything. These prolonged flooding caused not only widespread destruction and infrastructure, but also paralyzed people. People couldn't return home, business couldn't open, and recovery it couldn't even begin until the war finally receded. So it was a crazy moment. In Porto Alegre, just in Porto Alegre alone, more than 100 improved shelters open in a few days. And there are more than hosting over 10,000 people and more who had been forced to leave their homes. The speed and the scale of this displacement overwhelmed the local capacity. But beyond this visible damage, there are a big challenge. There is a massive information gap. So many shelters opening spontaneously and suddenly, and no central system that tracked them and could help them. It was almost impossible, nearly impossible, to know where people were, what they need, and which areas had been left without support.
Like, on the one hand, it was amazing. There was so much activity happening by civil society, just swaths of volunteers coming to help and opening up shelters and trying to help people. But I remember conversations with you saying, listen, there's no centralized system. We don't actually know what's happening. We don't know what's going on. There needs to be something to coordinate this a little bit.
Exactly. In this lack of real-time information, reliable data, and everything made coordination among responders very difficult. We have someone who is giving mattresses for someone and food, but who had food already already had mattresses and don't need water, and it was a messy. This was exactly the gap that we looking for to help answer in this moment. To start to organizing the data. We are from the tech side. So we're looking for this and this shelter needs water. How many? Where they are? Okay, they receive. Okay, we're trying to put this in a system, collecting data and starting to understanding the context. But it wasn't hours. The water came to Porto Alegre in May 3rd, and we will start at May 3rd, the same day. It was very difficult.
And Olimar, maybe you can walk us a little bit through this, because I remember our first conversations already at the beginning of May. One of another NGO that uses Monday connected us.
Yeah.
And I remember like the first conversations with you guys, it was, basically we kind of said, listen, we're a bunch of tech savvy people and we're helping. We all have full-time jobs, but this is what we're now committed to doing for the next at least 30 days. We have all this information. Set us up with, with a platform. And I know you tried a bunch of different, maybe not a bunch, but you walked through several different kind of technological solutions, and then you ended up kind of setting up everything on Monday.
Yes. So in the beginning, we start using WhatsApp to capture the information, because in Brazil it's very common using this platform. And when have a lot of tech volunteers here, it's very complicated to manage all of them, because each one have different skills and use different tools. But the first week we saw that like a type creates a brainstorm with the volunteers, because in that moment we don't have time to teach them tools. And when the volunteers come here, we said, what do you use in your work? I use this tool, so we can try use this tool and give the quickly time, but to start quickly.
Yeah, we started using WhatsApp. It's very, very common in Brazil, and people are familiar with. Every Brazilian has WhatsApp in his cell phone. But there's a problem, because WhatsApp is not made for collecting data. It was very difficult to work with. And we had this timeline, and we lost information, and we had some people that are putting data in the system, collecting from WhatsApp, putting in the system. It was very crazy.
Right. It sounds like a mess.
Yes.
It sounds like, and I've been through disasters where I responded trying to manage things with WhatsApp. And that's really why I joined Monday, because I saw the need for more efficiency in this space.
Exactly.
So walk us through this. What did you actually, when you started, I think it was Monday, you started using that. What did you build? And I remember you had data on where the different shelters were, and you had data on the volunteers and what were the needs. So maybe walk us through this.
We put two of our volunteers to study Monday. You go and you study, and tomorrow morning you set us how it can work. And it was done. And then everybody starts to know Monday and to use Monday. And we are able to respond for what is needed in that moment using Monday. It is very good because Monday is modular to collect the data and to create the dashboards. And we create a system to stocks and how many kilograms of rice there is in this shelter. So we create a system that people in the shelter could put 100 kilograms of rice, came, and then in another board, they can put 80 kilograms of rice had gone for someone. And we cross all information. This is elevate us for another level. We can think more about the situation.
You created a real-time platform to visualize what's happening actually in each shelter and what are the current needs and what needs to go where based on it.
Yes, and it is very interesting because shelters had a time to begin and to finish because water go down when people came to their homes, go to their homes. But we know that there are many families hosting people. How to help them? How to go to them? How to give access to this public system that was trying to work, is beginning to work. And of course, this is a government problem, how to manage this. But after the shelters, we went to families, to communities, because people return to home and they have nothing. They had vulnerabilities before the storm, and after they had more vulnerabilities. They don't have a mattress, they don't have a bed, they don't have a refrigerator, they don't have food, they don't have clothes. And then we move for another situation and to another way to work. And this is the way we are working until now, in communities, in territories, helping who are there, mapping who are there and what they need.
So you basically took one system, whatever you built for managing the shelters, and then you adapted it, I guess, a little bit. And I remember that process to make it relevant for needs assessment in specific communities, in households, so you can collect all the data real time and deliver back whatever aid they needed.
Exactly. This combination working well. We could collect information in a familiar channel, like a form. Of course, we had some problems with forms. People are not very used to forms, and there is a sense of, I'm giving my data, what they are doing with it. So we have to quickly move and understand what is happening to answer very quickly. And at that moment, there was a very special situation. People are more probably to give their data because they are receiving a lot of donations. So it was some kind of a change. And
you need to build trust at that point with these people.
Exactly. And now we had more than 3,000 families that we work with. And we have their data. We create some situations for them. And we ask them, what do you need now? How is your situation now? This donation improve your life? Are you now better than you are before? And of course, we had a year. So we are working, trying to work to managing this and to understanding all this complexity situation. And there is another interesting view. We had in Brazil many vulnerability communities, territories. And when some climate disaster came, not even floods, but fires and other climate disaster, the vulnerability is pushing for another level. It's interesting that the disaster climates in Brazil, it's not a situation. It's now the normal, and it's now the reality. So people are displaced, people don't have jobs, people have disease, all because of climate change.
And I know you guys have a lot of experience. I know since the Rio Grande do Sul floods, you as Bonanza, as an organization, decided to implement the tools that you've created in other climate events across the country with other aid organizations. And maybe you can tell me why do you think this is not the standard? Organizations don't already kind of come into disasters ready with the relevant tools to help them manage everything kind of in real time.
Yeah, this is very interesting because in Brazil, we don't have the culture to prepare themselves. Brazil is a very improved people. We do what is needed now. But I thought it was changing, especially before the last 2 years. We had so many things that happened, massive fires in Pantanal that was changing Brazil. We had fires in Amazonia, so it's more even a disaster from all the planet. We are trying to create a culture where we are in the communities we are, but a big barrier. The tools exist, the tools are available, but they aren't embedded in the community before the crisis. When people have to learn the platform in the middle of a flood, of a fire, or when organizations are meeting each other for the first time during an emergency, precious hours and days are lost. So this is a very big challenge.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal what you're saying, that basically tools are relevant, and they're relevant even if you start in a disaster. But if you have them ahead of time and you already have the change management maybe and the build and all that, hours could be saved, which is amazing. And I guess if we're looking ahead, right? If we're looking into disaster response and humanitarian aid and even protracted disasters in the context of digital tools, where do you, and you're both really at the front lines of this in Brazil, where do you see this going? Where do you see kind of technology evolving and adopted in these kind of contexts?
Yeah. Last week, we are in an event here in Brazil, was Climate Week. Everyone is talking about it, how to do, what to do. And this topic, Rio Grande do Sul's flood, was in the mouth of everyone. I thought here in the deep of my heart that we are not prepared. Other organizations that are working with disasters, they are not worried about technology. They are worried about boats. They are worried about helicopters. But how the boat goes to the right place? How the rescue guy go in for the right family who was in danger? And they don't see this as an emergency response. They see it as, okay, it's nice to have, but not something that was the new way to do the things. We have a lot to do, especially here in Brazil.
I agree 100%. I think it's not just in Brazil. I mean, we work around the world in different disasters, and we try to get to organizations, to aid organizations before, disaster hits, to really start, giving them all the pro bono tools and training them and everything. And I really see that oftentimes, it's not the right time because they have so many priorities and so many things. But when the disaster happens, that's when they really need it. And they do adopt it at that point. But I definitely see the impact being so much greater when you have it already before. And I think you guys saw it yourselves. I mean, you started with Monday and all your coordination in real time during the floods. But after that, when you already had the tool set up, you are able to go to so many more disasters like this and respond quickly.
At the same time, now we are working in creating custom forms and automated bots to tailor these local needs, to understanding what they need. But these tools are designed for us to work with low internet bandwidth in Portuguese. Now we are working with migrants from Venezuela, Haiti, Senegal, and we have to translate our forms to French and Spanish and to Criollo. That was a language from Haiti. We are doing baby steps. Now we are going to, and the people now looking for us and search us to know the territory. We need to map something. We need to understand something. And we have said, okay, since you have used the tool, you are going to be familiar with the tool. And when the crisis became, you are able to use the tool for the crisis, during the crisis. So we are going for the left side. We are going to some way to understand and to spread our actuation and work.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. We've been following kind of the work that you've been doing over the last year and a half, and it's just incredible.
I think it's important to create a partnership between NGOs because when we start here,
first of all, is necessary to build a minimum network
Yes.
of key people and institutions. For example, civil defense, Red Cross, and we are working with them now before everything, preparing ourselves and themselves. And second, support organizations that are already prepared to act is very necessary. Not even us, but everyone. I went in a meeting with the police here from Porto Alegre, and they are saying that they don't know how to go to a place, a risky place, in a boat. They don't know how to shoot in a boat. They need to understand and to learning how to do it. So we are living a change of culture here in Brazil, especially in Rio Grande do Sul, especially. I think we are asking, that still working with this, that is still thinking about it, we are asking ourselves, my community, my territory, have a digital readiness, have a plan, have a escape system. If the water came again, where do I go? How to place I can go? And now we are seeing, again, baby steps for this thought, this kind of preparedness. But we have so many yards to go.
I mean, it sounds like from what you're saying, and I hear it from so many people across the show, it's we need preparedness. We need to start working ahead of time and think, do we have the right tools? And B, we need partnerships also, not just during the disaster, but let's create these kind of groups of people, of humans that come together and think together of how they're going to prepare their communities. And 3, we need the localized approach. We need to work with the communities, with the national Red Cross societies of each region to really prepare on a local level, because each disaster is different and the effects are different, and you need to have something that's flexible.
Yeah, I also think that there is a fourth thing that was funding and money for help right in the moment. We need, everyone need money to do this. So now that the wave of the floods had gone, it was very difficult to talk about floods here in Rio Grande do Sul. People, no, floods again, no, please. It's a trauma for the state. But it's very necessary to talk about it and to be ready to prepare. We saw the government saying, no, now we are doing this, we are doing that, some millions here, some millions that, but not in preparedness. Only for what is going before, nothing for before. Everything for, okay, now we are cleaning the river that was a mess. Now we are creating a new road to came to Porto Alegre if the floods came again. That's the answer. And it starts, oh my God, they are not thinking about the community, about people who are there with their feet in the water. Now it's the big challenge we have.
It sounds like the world, like we started, Caroline, the conversation, the world is really facing a lot of challenges now.
Yes.
And I'm happy to see that people like you and organizations like you are acting swiftly and are adopting the relevant tools to be more available for everyone. So with that, Caroline and Olimar, I really, really want to thank you. First of all, for the partnership that we've had for now a year and a half, going strong, and for all the amazing work that you do, and for joining us today on today's episode. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you, Dana.
Disasters are often unpredictable, but response efforts don't have to be. If you're a part of an aid organization, having the right digital tools can mean the difference between chaos and coordinated action. If you need practical tools for your organization's disaster management, visit mondayert.org. And if you enjoyed this, please share it with one colleague or friend who'd find it useful.